Good evening, everybody. Friday night. Excited to do the short conference preview. I have Doug Brustman from Manchester on. Doug, thank you for joining me. Thank you for doing this, and hopefully we can continue doing this when soccer starts.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, Nick. And I just want to echo the sentiments of many of the coaches that you've interviewed so far and say what a great job you do covering girls soccer and basketball in the short conference and really giving these girls a platform and exposing them to a lot more than they would normally would be exposed to. So really appreciate that.
I appreciate the words. Thank you. And I've talked with you about my plan. Hopefully I could keep expanding this and grow this and make it bigger. So much talent in the shore in both sports to get their names out there.
I agree. And, I know the girls do appreciate it because, it's just a great forum for them to be seen and heard. And a lot of girls that normally wouldn't be heard. And you just do a great job. And the exposure you give them is great.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So we're going to talk about this exciting season that's about to start. And I think Dave posted 72 hours. I don't know if that seems right. What was that, Monday? I thought the season started on Tuesday.
But I think so. Maybe you meant 72 hours. We've already had about 7 or 8 teams that had to postpone already. So,
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Obviously the season was pushed back. It's such a condensed schedule. You went through it through watching Morgan's soccer season, me following, being at these soccer games. You just get the phone call, oh, you're not playing tomorrow because, something that's out of your control and something that's not even team related. What do you think? Do you think we're going to get through the season or some of the teams get through the season?
I mean, I hope we can get through the season, at least most of it. I know you brought up soccer season and Manchester in the middle of our season had a quarantine for 2 weeks. A team we played, a girl tested positive, and we were told, even though none of the girls on our team tested positive, that we had to sit for 2 weeks right in the middle of the season. Mm-hmm. And that's outside. So obviously being outside, you're a little less exposed to being close to people.
Yeah.
I hope we can get through the season. It's only 6 weeks. The problem being, if you do have to quarantine, you're losing a third of your season.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little tougher. I know we got through soccer season. We got through 15 or 16 games in a state game. So let's hope we can get through this 6-week season.
Yeah, and like I said, most of the time it was out of the team's control. Especially when we got to the postseason with the Middletown schools and Homedale.
That was a shame because they really had a legit shot to make it far, and again, out of their control. You can't fault the administration for doing what they did. You got to look at the whole picture, and it's disappointing, but I really honestly think there's going to be less leeway in this basketball season.
Yeah. I heard, I had the Howell coach on earlier, and he said basically if the school has to go virtual, there's no sports because it's indoors. And
really?
And I think, Wall, that's why they were shut down. Luckily she was shut down 2 days into practice, so she's really not missing, she's not missing that much. But in Wall's case, it was because of the contact tracing. They couldn't trace how these 2 students got it. Now, in the Freehold school district, I'm hearing it's just going to be, if they got to go virtual for any reason, even if they do the contact tracing, it's going to be shut down. So, that's going to be tough. And, one issue I have, there's no, every district's different, and, I blame, not to get political, state didn't come out with a unified thing. They're putting the pressure on the administrations of each particular school district. And, it's not fair to them to make them look like the bad guys. And, they're just trying to keep everyone safe.
Right. And the school district has the district at whole to look after, not just a basketball or soccer team.
Yes.
So especially those bigger districts, Freehold, Toms River, you got multiple schools. If you're going to do something for one team, you're really going to have to do it across the board. And it's unfortunate, but we'll see what happens.
I want to talk about, the way they broke up the pods. Now, obviously, I talked to a lot of coaches, and I think they redid the division. Obviously the new divisions came out in January. And then I think they redid them again, and then they redid them again. And I think they finally came up with this, and everything I'm hearing, it's majority was based off what was best for the boys. You think it's time, because there's no question girls basketball talent is better than boys talent, in the state, in the short conference. Do you think it's time where they just separate the girls and they do their own divisions how they think would be best?
Yeah, and again, I know with transportation issues,
Mm.
and you have to look at both the boys and the girls.
Okay.
To base everything off the boys' schedule, to make them look stronger, we're past those days. We have to give equal footing to the girls. And looking at these pods, some of them are just very disproportionate. I could look through and say, wow, this is a great boys division. And I look through the same thing and say, why was Lacey put in pod one when they were, besides playing Manchester and Donovan, they were competitive in B South last year? Why throw them in to the bigger school? That just doesn't make sense. And do we have to separate them? I don't know if you can because of logistics.
Yeah.
But there does have to be some sort of, you got to take the girls' situation into account. Because like you said, some of these pods have 3 and 4 teams that are really good, and some have 1, maybe 2. When it gets down to playoff time, how are we going to break that up? How do you figure out who makes the playoffs?
Yeah, that I don't know. I like, that's what I'm thinking. Is it the winner of the pod? Because then you got the RBC, RBR, Romson, who are all top 8 teams.
Right.
How you taking a team? No offense to the Asbury Keensburg pod, but none of those teams are beating any of those 3 teams. They're probably not beating any. You throw Shore in it, they're probably not going to beat Shore either.
Right. And also
So
you have the Manasquan, St. Rose, and Neptune pod.
yeah.
I mean, that's 3 solid teams.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to leave a Donovan or a Townsend or North out, a Jackson or a Howell out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to figure out, I guess, when it gets down to that 1 week, 3-game playoff.
Yeah, it's good luck for whoever's to make those decisions.
Yeah, thank God it's not me.
Yeah. And another thing, I heard that, they were trying to do by location to keep which, with what's going on, I understand that. But even that's something, you got Central Regional playing Lakewood, Howell, Jackson, and the brick schools, where they're closer to the Lacey, Southern Regional, Pinelands, area.
Right. And then you move Lacey up to the
Tom's
northern
River
Mercer
area.
County.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how they determined it. If it was based on the boys division, I mean, yeah, they did a good job for the boys, but I can't really say they did a great job for the girls.
So, and a lot of coaches talked about, they're a fan of having, the multiple brackets, which gives teams a couple extra games to get ready for states, instead of, the short conference is huge. And let's be honest, if you're outside the past few years, if you're outside the 4 seed, you're not winning the short conference. But the 16 to the 22, or how many they had last year, they don't, once you get to you might win your first playing game, but once you get to a higher seeded team, you're getting blown out the door. And a lot of coaches prefer, the 1 through 8, or they even care if even if it's not even 1 through 8, if it's 1 through 16 and then 17 through 32 and then 33 to the rest, that even if it's not the 8. It gives you a couple extra games, a chance for you to win a game, or 2 games in your particular bracket, that could help you prepare for the state group sectionals.
Right. But I mean, I think the problem this year is there's going to be no sectionals in those states.
Yeah.
So there's only a 3-game week where you get the extra playoff. So you can't really do more than an 8-team bracket, because you're going to go quarter, semis, finals. That's 3 games. That brings you to your 15.
Yeah.
So you really can't do a 1 to 16, and a 1 through 8 is great. I mean, if you get a 1 through 8 top heavy, I think the Shore probably goes 11, 12 deep this year. So there's going to be some unhappy coaches and players that are going to be in that second tier.
Yeah, there definitely is, especially, talked about after, the first top 3 in the Shore are pretty clear, and then, 4 through 8, you could juggle them all around. They all have positives and they all have some negatives. So it's tough to I was working on a top 10, and after I got through 3, I was like, who do I put here? And I go, I put Manchester 4 because they have destiny, but they lost a couple people. Do I move them down? It's tough. It's definitely tough, and like you said, I don't want to be the person that has to come up with the rankings and the seeds.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have more unhappy people than normal, making this such a short 1 week window. So,
we'll start going through the pods. So we're going to go through, pods. We'll go quick recap with the teams, the best we can. And then, we're going to each pick a pod winner, and, maybe, or we're going to do, who we think would be the player of that pod, coming at the end of the year, player,
Sure.
Okay. We're going to start with the first one, Toms River North. A lot of key pieces coming back, obviously, this season.
I mean, the team is very young, very junior dominant this year. I believe their starting 5 will be all juniors. You have it's coming back scoring wise. It's pretty even. You lost Christina Johnson, who was their leading scorer. She accounted for 1/3 of their points last year. So you have a very even rest of the team. Faith Wabershack averaged about 6 points a game last year. Jackie Benvenuto, 7 points. Julia Godzicki is a freshman. She averaged about 7. Gia averaged, 3 points, but 5 or 6 rebounds and a couple blocks a game. And Sydney Howell averaged 7 points. So very balanced scoring. But I think my question is, who's going to become the leader of that team? Vicky's had it lucky the last couple of years. She's had Ashley Tutzauer, the older Johnson. She's had
Jenna Paul.
Yeah, she's had leaders and vocal leaders and players that led on the court. Who's going to step up and be the leader this year? I think that's going to be the question.
Yeah, and they have a couple good, freshmen coming in. I know too. That's going to, add. They definitely have one of the deeper teams in that pod. She's going to be able to go 8, probably 8 deep. And bringing up Gia, she looked pretty good during the summer and in the fall leagues. She's going to Navy, so it tells you her upside, and hope if they could get more out of her offensively, because to me, she was, like you said, every game I was at, she was blocking more than 2 shots a game. The games I went and saw, and she was attacking the offensive boards like crazy. It'd be nice if they could use her more, in the post offensively, to free up, because she is going to be the big on the team.
And that was my other question. Can they get consistent shooting from the outside to open up for Jackie and Gia, both inside dominant post players, but they're going to have to become consistent from the outside so that the bigs don't get doubled. With that depth is great, but you have to have a go-to player.
Yes.
Who's going to step up and be that go-to player? And Gia's built for it. I mean, obviously she's going to Navy. I think of all the kids, the pandemic, hurt a lot of kids. I think it really helped her. She got to work out with Justine every day. And she really decided that basketball is her passion, and she's a great golfer. But now her game is going to go to a different level this year. So
and this is the year, when you from your sophomore and junior year, that's the year you want to see that big jump, and I think we will see it. And I think they're going to be tough defensively because Faith, a soccer player, I know how tough she's defensively, and I was at the Jackson Memorial game. Jackie was unbelievable defensively, and Gia, it's tough to score on Gia in the paint, with her size, and there was one game she just put her hand out. I don't know how she got her fingers on the ball, but it deflected the ball out. The person didn't get a good shot. So yeah, they're a fun upcoming team, and luckily they're core's juniors, so next year they're going to be seniors. Next year is going to be the year, hopefully we're back to normal, and you could see big things coming out of that team next year with states and everything.
Absolutely. And Vicky's a great coach, but she's going to have to speed up their learning curve by a year, I think, this year.
And luckily Donovan, You know, the other two Toms River teams aren't as strong, obviously, but it's always a tough game when you play Toms River versus Toms River, no matter what.
Absolutely. I mean, that's you don't want to lose to your crosstown rivals.
No.
And no matter how talented or lack of talent you have, you know it's going to be a fight.
Yeah. Next is Southern on the list. I did get to see them. I'm trying to find them here. Oh, they're there. I did get to see them
My notes
once.
are all over the place too.
Yeah. And I'm going off last season's thing. They were just under 500 last year. But that's another team. They one senior. I don't know if Sam Del Rio was a senior
Sam Del
too.
Rio was a senior also, yes.
So they lost a lot of their point production too. That's 700 points.
Kayla Curtin and Sam Del Rio, they lost about 60% of their scoring. So
yeah, so that's something. How do you replace that? They had a sophomore that looked like she was pretty good when I saw her play. Two sophomores, but unfortunately, I only got to see them once last year, so not one of the teams I know great.
Right.
But
they have two returners. Summer Davis averaged about 7 points a game, and Sarah Lally was about 6 points and 7 rebounds a game.
Yeah, she was. I remember her. She was strong on the rebounding side.
But they're going to have somebody else step up to complement those two, because we just talked about the depth of Toms River North. I mean, we're talking about a lack of depth with Southern. So to be able to compete with North and compete with Donovan, they're going to have some people step up.
Yeah. The next team, Toms River East, I got to see them a couple times. They lost 2 key players. Jordan, down at Stockton.
Sure.
And who's the other girl? The one game I
had. Boy, the name's escaping me right now.
Emily Mayer.
Yes, Mayer.
She now, I brought it up with the Donovan coach, or it was a Point Borough. There was one game, Jordan got shut down and she went off, and I was like, "Who is this girl?" And but you're losing a chunk of your scoring there. Luckily though, they did have some underclassmen that were able to put points up. Are they going to be up for the task to play bigger roles this season?
Right. And I think of the competitive teams in this conference, they lost the most. They lost 62% of their scoring between the 3 seniors last year. But they have a great, I believe she's a sophomore, Lizzie Gillen.
Yeah, she's a junior this year. Yeah, she's
fantastic soccer player, great athlete. I think she's ready to step into the spotlight. Colleen Sullivan is another junior who I think is ready for a bigger role. Natalie Dudar, most of her minutes off the bench last year, senior. So they're going to look to them. But my thing is with East, they have 2 post players, Katrina Wardell and Kelly Goodall. And if they continue, I know Katrina's a senior. I had coached her in AAU for a year, coached Kelly for a couple of years. Kelly's, she's improved greatly over the last couple of years. If they can establish some sort of inside presence to go with the guards, Gillen and Sullivan, you never know. They could be in that, behind Donovan and North, right there, ready to compete.
Yeah, he's a good coach over there too.
Cohen, yes.
Yeah, he's a good coach. I think out of the teams, them and maybe Lacey would be competing for that 3rd spot.
Right.
We'll move to Toms River South now. I got to see them once. They had one big girl, Kelly, that it was against Brick, and Brick didn't really have any height on the team last season. But she was a rebounding machine. She scored 300 points. So she ready, to lead this team. Her senior year. And then they had a freshman that stood out. I think Emma.
Wagner.
Yes.
Wagner.
Is she ready to make a jump? Coming in as a freshman, scoring 100+ points. Pretty good. Is she ready for a bigger role this season?
She's going to have to be. She's a very good shooter, good 3-point shooter, and they're going to have to establish the outside game, because teams know it's Kelly, and she's going to get double and triple teamed.
Yeah.
The big thing is, can she fight through the double and triple team? Will she not get frustrated by a double triple team? and she played great last year. She was double teamed a lot.
Yeah,
but she played through it. She's going to have to not get frustrated, and somebody else is going to have to step up besides her and Emma to take some of the pressure off of her.
Yeah, I agree with that. She was a fun player to watch. The one time I did see her though. But yeah, other people are gonna have to step up because obviously, when you're playing Toms River North and Donovan, they're gonna be able to shut her down.
Right.
Especially, you're going up against Gia, who's the defensive juggernaut. You're gonna have to find some other ways to score.
Right.
Next, Donovan. A lot of excitement with Donovan. Jordan is the clear leader on that team. They got three transfers. Gabby Ross might have been, one of the best pickups in the shore by a team, with her shooting ability. And, Barksdale, who I saw him play once. She was very solid defensively. Only seeing him once. I do need to see a little more her offensively. Right. And then Joseph from Barnegat, who I did not get to see Barnegat, so I don't know much about her. But, they also
we played Barnegat twice last year, and she was really the team.
Yeah.
A great rebounder, good scorer. Manchester kind of frustrated her a little bit. And the big question with them is, they have, Jordan Keating's obviously coming back. Great player, good leader. Olivia Conroy.
Yes, I like Olivia.
She is tough as nails as a guard, getting in there, rebounding with the bigs, 2 assists a game. How is Coach gonna meld this new talent in with the returners? It always sounds good that you're getting 3 players that were the best players. 2 of them were the best players on the team, and Gabby stepped right in and started most of the season. How are you going to meld that talent to get? There's only one basketball on the court.
Yeah.
And I think Jordan's leadership skills are going to have to play a big part in that.
Yeah, I agree. And, if anybody could do it, it's probably her. We see all her posts about, wanting a full season. And, she just, I joke with her that she has a future in politics.
Yeah.
Just the way, she speaks, she thinks before she makes sure that her message is clear. But yeah, and, I think we're going to see more out of Olivia because her improvement from the end of the season and just following her through AAU this season and in the, she's a different player, and how are they going to gel? And it's tough only having 10 days, to practice.
And this is going to be one of those teams where I think the short season is going to hurt them, not hurt them record wise, hurt them getting together and playing as a team.
Yeah.
And if they had a long season, I would never want to play them towards the end of the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good thing is it's only 4 weeks, 5 weeks. You might be able to pick them off one game, but it's going to take a special team to really do that.
Yeah, exactly. And to his credit, he scheduled 2 tough games out. He scheduled Manchester and Jackson Memorial, so he scheduled 2 tough teams, outside his division.
He's got the team to do it. This is the year. If you're going to do it, you got Jordan as a senior.
Yeah. And he replaced Toms River South with Freehold next week. That's definitely a step up. Freehold's definitely a step up, from Toms River South. So that's a good test right away to start the season because, we'll talk about Freehold later, but they returned 5 starters, seniors. So, they're a good team. The last team in the pod, Lacey. Lacey's interesting because they got quite a few soccer players that, multi-sport. I think everybody but one, their bulk is returning,
Yes.
So this is a good year, I think the one senior, Michaela, Mooney, I think she's going to seminary. I think she's going to seminary. Okay. She, going to be the team leader. Can they keep keep building on the momentum, and start building Lacey into a program because I know they got a couple of young kids. Riley was a freshman and had an excellent freshman year. Zimmerman, could she keep developing and can they, and I think she has a younger sister that's coming up. I don't know when. I don't think she's a freshman this year, but I know she has a younger sister. Could the coach keep keeping them, developing and turn this program into something?
it would have been fun to watch them play in B South this year, because
Yeah.
I think they would have been very competitive.
Yeah.
A lot of returners. Zimmerman averaged 15 a game last year. Mooney's just a strong kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have a lot. They have a lot coming back. It's just unfortunate they got moved into
Yeah.
a very tough bracket, tough pod. And but like you said, if they continue to develop, they're a team that could knock somebody off.
Mm-hmm. So who do you think is going to be the team out that come out top?
I honestly, I mean, I don't really think it's a surprise. It's going to be between Donovan and Tom's River
Yeah.
North. I really think if Glenn can get those girls playing together and get them started off good, on a good note, I think Donovan Catholic comes out of that pod. I think they're my number one choice for that.
Yeah, I would agree, and what's given them the edge to me is, Jordan being the senior leader. Like you said, who's going to step up for Tom's River to be that leader? If they could find that early in the season, and, I don't know when they match up. But it does, it comes down to those two teams.
Tom's River North would be, if they have them in the beginning of the season, would be advantageous for them.
Yeah. Move to the next pod, Brick Township. Probably one of the coaching staffs I'm closest with. I texted him to try getting him on for an interview before we did this, because I don't know who his players are going to be this year.
Something about the team, right?
Yeah, because he started 4 soccer players last season, and they were all seniors. And and then Angela Jones was, she wasn't a soccer player, but she's a senior. Who's going to be he's trying to build something there. He's trying to get the buy-in from, the middle school. And I know he started something AAU wise for the younger kids, like 5th, 6th graders, to try to start building something, because Brick is a soccer town. Everybody knows that. So I there's not much I could really say about them, because, they lost, almost everybody.
They lost a lot. I believe Alexis Voorhees comes back. I think she's a senior.
Oh, that's Memorial. Yeah, that's at Brick Memorial.
Oh, we're talking Brick
Township. Sorry. Yeah, we're talking Township. Yeah.
I'm getting old. I can't hear
it. Yeah, I think I might have just said Brick. Yeah, but Township.
Okay, yeah. They lost 90% of their offense last year. It's going to be. It's always been tough for Brick competing in A South. But I think this year is going to be especially tough. He's going to have to work his magic.
Yeah, and like I said, I know that whole coaching staff. It's to me, one of my favorite coaching staffs. Might upset some coaches, sorry, but I grew up with 2 of them, so that's why. But yeah, like I don't know, I don't even know the players, because like you said, he graduated almost everybody, and I watched him play. A couple times I went there, and when nothing else, and it was seniors. It was seniors. I know they had one player that is coming back. She saw some minutes, but another, she's a very good soccer player, Ryan Stanton. And I know she is playing this season, because there's a bunch of soccer players throughout the shore that aren't playing basketball this season that played last year. So she's the only real returner I know that saw significant minutes last season.
Yeah, it's this division, again, pretty top heavy. It's going to be hard for them to compete.
Yeah, with Jackson and Howell.
Yeah.
We'll talk about. Let's go to the next Brick team, Memorial. Basically, you brought her up already. Voorhees, she's very good. I got to see her during the summer league in Point Pleasant. She is the team. The core of the team, but they graduated 3 seniors that were big.
Right.
But they did have another sophomore that contributed. So it's just who's going to replace that senior scoring.
Right, and that, I think you're talking about Ella Moore.
Yeah, Ella.
She averaged about 8 points, 10 rebounds a game. For a young kid, almost averaging a double-double. That's a great 1-2 punch. I mean, that's a 1-2 punch that could have you in games. Again, you got to develop depth, and if teams know it's a 1-2 punch and you're going to double, Voorhees on the perimeter, and things could get ugly for them. But they do have 2 great returning players. Let's see. I mean, somebody might step up. There might be a young kid come in, step up, and they'll be in games. I think they have enough between those two to be in games.
Yeah. The next team, Central Regional, Doug Shaw's team, and they were in that Point Pleasant tournament. They do have a couple nice players, but as well, I think they're multi-sport players. So they're doing soccer and basketball. So they're not playing basketball. Who's their key? Kayla, and I think she's a soccer player. I think she's a soccer player too.
I'm not sure. She's a big girl. It's about 6 foot tall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she could be a dominant force inside if she realizes her strength and pushes people around. She could be an asset. They have Jaden Smith, a guard. She averages about 9 points, 4 rebounds a game. She's a senior this year. She'll be the leader. Julia Altieri.
Yeah,
and 7 points a game.
If she could get hot too, she could shoot the 3 ball. I saw her play once last year, and she knocked down a couple threes, so she could be a good shooter.
Yeah, they have some talent. They should be right behind the big two in that in that pod.
And he's a great coach too. So he's been coaching for a while. Next, Lakewood, a team I did not see last year.
We saw them twice. Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't fault those kids who are going out and playing hard. They go out, they work. They're just kind of left behind in the talent pool.
Yeah, it's not, they scored 391 points last season. So, do you know who the coach is there?
I don't. They've had a couple different coaches. I think the last 2 years they've had the same coach. He's done a good job. Very, disciplined coach. Tries to do things the right way. It's just unfortunate. No matter what team you're playing, you're kind of at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking at the roster, they didn't even have, didn't look like they have many players listed. Yeah. So hopefully, if he's been there 2 years, hopefully they can get some consistency, and start building that program up.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I mean, the boys team's always been strong. It'd be nice to have a girls team that can compete.
Next up, Jackson Memorial. To me, probably the top of the class in this pod. Rachel does a great job over there. Returning Rachel Capua, who, to me, the way I saw her play in the summer, could be, it's tough. You got Destiny, Katie Hill, Madison, but the way Rachel was playing, her name could be meant, up there, in the talks for player of the year. The way, and she does it on both ends of the floor.
Right.
So it starts with her, and then of course they got the big transfer, Lexi Linton, who got to see her play a couple times, and it's very similar players. It's going to be a tough backcourt if she presses to get by, because they're both quick, both got quick hands, and they pick people's pockets.
And I mean, is there any coach that prepares more than Rachel? She knows what she has every year. She knows what she's getting. She works her system around those kids and gets the best out of them every year. Rachel, she's poised to take over the team. And having Donza last year as the 1, and then call Rachel 2, 1A, whatever you want to call her. Yeah. Donza took a little heat off of Rachel, allowed her to be more free and attack the basket and shoot. Bringing Lexi in will help her with that.
Yes.
So you're really not going to lose that. Normally you lose your best player and they key on Rachel,
the next best player.
But not going to be able to do that with Lexi. Jackson's issue is going to be an inside game. They have Amber Williams.
Yeah, who I think is finally. I think she's healthy finally.
Hopefully she's healthy. Yeah, she's had a couple season-ending injuries the last couple of years. Great kid. Yeah. But can they develop that inside game to complement the outside game?
Yeah, and hopefully, Zoe's a sophomore, and big body, and hopefully she takes it to the next level and can be, that inside presence with Amber, because if those two could get it going, they're going to be tough to guard, with Rachel and Lexi, and then they got a girl, Camille, I think her name's Camille. She does all the dirty work that Vela, Vela graduated, and she was the one that cleaned up the glass, and and Camille could kind of fill in that role. So,
She's the Rachel Goodall kind of player.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So
she loves those kids. She has a bunch of them. Those kids never disappoint you with their effort.
Yeah.
Nobody on this team ever disappoints you with their effort. And also Brooke McCown. I don't know if she's going to play this year. She's great goalkeeper for the Jackson soccer team. She was injured during soccer season. Not sure, but she's another bigger kid that can establish the inside.
And she can handle the ball too.
Mm-hmm.
The game she got hurt, I was impressed with her ball handling up until she got hurt against Marlborough. But I think that they said she is good to go. Hopefully no setbacks. The last team in the group, Howell, I had him on earlier today, returning four key seniors, led by Gresco and Grace Leary. This is a team I'm disappointed also for a shorter season, because I thought they could do something in the States, returning 4 key starters. They had a sophomore last year who she was on my player to list to watch out for this season. Fortunately, she got injured at the end of last season, but she is finally cleared to play, so she isn't going to miss any time. So he has a nice squad, and it'd be nice to see how last year Jackson ran them out of the building. It'd be nice to see the senior year, with Caitlin and the other girls, how they match up against Jackson. The topper, a top 10 team in the shore.
You get that Leary Gresco versus Linton and Capua matchup. It's going to come down to the supporting cast for those two teams, and I think Jackson just probably at this point has a little more depth and kids ready to play than Howell.
So I'm going to pick Jackson too. They're probably going to edge Howell out, but Howell will probably be second, and Central will be right up there. Repeating, because Central versus Howell could be, because Howell does lack a little height. So if Kayla could dominate inside, that they could sneak into that second spot.
And I'll second that Jackson over Howell in pod 2.
The next one, division you know very well.
Well, you want to go player of the year in the player of the year, and I think Rachel Capua probably would be the
that's my I agree with that with Rachel. Did we pick player of the year in the other one? I don't think we did.
Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this, Manchester team, very well. We probably don't even need to spend that much time on them. Everyone says that, it all starts with destiny. And to me, I think she has a chip on her shoulder, starting from the summer league.
Right.
I think I said to you, I think she's going to have like an Audrey Gomez type season, if we had a full season just the way, seeing what her mindset was. And, it starts with her, and, you do have, a couple supporting class. The thing is, it's probably going to be the bench. You probably lack a little bit of bench, which would probably be the weakness for Manchester.
We lack beyond a starting 5, not much experience, and that's going to be the issue this year. Obviously everything starts with destiny. If you can put her in a category where you think she's going to have an Audrey Gomez type ease, what else you need to know? Best player in the short conference history. That's not taking away from anybody else, but you know what? Audrey is top.
That was my tweet, so it's out there publicly and official that I thought Destiny was going to have an Audrey Gomez type season. Just seeing how she was fired up.
Listen. Destiny is destiny. There's not really much you can add to. She's a fantastic player, great kid, gives 100%. You call me a homer, call me biased, whatever. She doesn't get every call she deserves. But that's part of being the best player in the team, and part of being one of the best players in shores. You don't always get that whistle because you're so dominant. You're not going to get the whistle. I think Madison probably gets the same thing. Justine probably gets it goes around, but our starting 5 is a solid starting 5. Amaya Bray stepped up big last year. Started most of the season after the first couple of games.
I'm looking for her to make that next step, and which I think we're going to see that.
she's going to make a leap. She played with Exodus this summer, had a great summer. I know her dad, Curtis, is working her, and you know, he listen, she has a chance right now to be, and it's not, there's no knock being second fiddle to Destiny.
No,
she has that opportunity. And with Destiny taking most of the heat, Amaya could be Rachel Capua to Christina Donza last year and get the free looks at the basket, get the drives to the basket. And it could be a big season for her. Maya Horgan played some minutes last year, another good shooter. You know, Morgan played a couple of games last year, didn't get many minutes, but she's always ready to go. You know, if people pick up on her defensive intensity, you got a freshman. You know, I mean, Devon's going to be coming and play well. She's still a freshman. It's a very upper class heavy team. She has the talent to come in and do it. And I think the girls want her to do it. And if she does step up, I think that's one of the best starting fives in the Shore, most consistent starting fives. But when foul trouble occurs and you're playing 3 games a week, and sometimes you need to give a kid a break, you want the bench to step up. And there's a couple of kids that played some minutes last year, but going beyond the starting five is going to hurt Coach Boschman, I think, this year.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's everybody's opinion. You know, after the 5, but you know, you never count a team out when you have Destiny.
100% right. Yes.
The next
Danny
team,
Manning. We'll call her Danny Manning.
The next team, Barnegat, their key player transferred, so they're going to need to find offense. Looked like they didn't have any seniors, so I mean, unfortunately, you know, they're gonna, you know, couple of names I see that were from soccer. You know, no, Isabel's from a soccer player. So the freshman last year was second in points. She's not
McCoy.
Kara, and then you had
Shannon's younger sister. Shannon's a great player for Barnegat.
Yes.
She averaged about 6 points a game and 7 rebounds as a freshman. That's, if you can build upon that, that's going to be a good thing. Yeah,
and you know, Ashley Pringle, you know, next. So you know, two players, but where they go, you know, those other players, you know, they're going to need to find something, you know, with these other players.
It's going to be tough to compensate for the loss of Kai Joseph. That's going to be the biggest issue with the team.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, I did not see them last year, so I don't even know how the players looked. If they had other talent that could step into that role, I'm not sure. But it's going to be tough if the teams are focusing on McCoy and Pringle.
Like we said before, it's nice to have a girl playing well, but when you don't have much help and teams realize this, the double, triple teams are going to come and somebody else is going to have to step up.
Next team, Pinelands, who actually I saw quite a bit last season. I am
sitting in the stands with Steve.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, he was never there. I was always thinking he never went because he was coaching at New Egypt. But you know, showing support to his family. You know, I'm close with Steve, and you know, Emily's a great kid. That's, you know, you see she's getting accepted to a lot of great schools. You know, because of her academics. Pineland is an interesting team because, you know, they're bringing, you know, their whole squad back, and they have a player, you know, I spoke about a lot. I like Bridget. Is she going to make that next step from sophomore to junior year?
They, like you said, they have everybody back. A bunch of multi-sport athletes. Sonny Elmo, great soccer player.
Yes, Sonny's going
to LaSalle.
Yes.
She's tough on the basketball court. Maddie Stein,
you
know, another senior this year. Emily, senior. They got everybody back. The problem is, who's their top gun, and is everybody else around them gonna have enough to compete with Manchester and Jackson Liberty?
Yeah, and another issue they don't have a bench either. I think one game I went to, they had 6 players. So but you know, is Bridget gonna take over, you know, this team? You know, like I think, you know, she was listed as one of my players that I wanted to see, you know, this season. So next, Jackson Liberty. I'm gonna have her, you know, to coach on next week, but you know, I know the team well. it starts with Moore, senior Carney. To me, it looks like she was great last year, and watching her this summer, it looked like she even went up another level. But she's a senior leader. They have the center, who's a junior, Jess or Jen, Jess, I think Jess.
Mm-hmm.
She's a center. I know her main sport is softball, but for a softball player, she looked good out there. Big body.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Aria, I'm very high on Aria. I hope to see her make a good jump from her freshman sophomore year. I know she just switched AAU programs to the Bells, which I think is going to help her drastically. She's working on JT's team, and JT, great coach. So do they have enough to compete with Manchester? Because to me, they probably are the second team in that, and I just like what I saw last season.
I'll agree with you there. I believe they are the second best team in the pod. And, Mora, she can score at will. I had the pleasure of coaching her. Her and Morgan played AAU together, 5th, 6th, 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And, I love the kid. If you told me she was going to be the player now, that when I was coaching her back then, I'd say, yeah, she's got the attitude and the drive, but man, has she gotten so much better, and it's great to see. Almost 16 points a game last year. And a quiet
I think
leader,
I did the math. I think it was 7th in the shore in points per game because I was going through stats last year at the end of the season, and it jumped out at me, and I did the math, and then I went through because it caught my eye. I went through every roster. I think she finished 7th in the average, and little girl from Jackson Liberty, because she's not a big body.
Right.
But she attacks. She attacks too.
She's tough. The little girl from Jackson Liberty that I don't think anybody at Red Bank Regional is going to forget. Last year, that's just what a big upset that was. And, between Moore and Ariana, you got two special players. And again, it's like we've said a bunch of times, it's going to come down to depth. Do they have enough? Do they have enough to compete?
I think they do have a couple body. They have a freshman soccer player who's very good at soccer. I think she's going to see some minutes, and I think they do have a couple pieces. Is there going to be drop off? Probably, but I do think they have a little bit of bench. I'll know more when I have coach on Tuesday.
Right.
But yeah, it's gonna go through more, and Ari offensively, I believe, and Ari's 5'5", 5'6". She plays like a 7-footer.
10 rebounds a game last year at 5'5", 5'6". Very impressive.
Yeah, and she don't come off the court either. Like she goes full blast for 32 minutes, and it's good to see.
Again, the problem is you're in a pod with Manchester.
That's
going to be the issue.
Last Point Borough, they lose Kate, who to me, fantastic player. Majority of the time she was going to be the best player on the court. Unless you're playing those top echelon teams, and she didn't act that way when I watched her play last year. She tried to get everyone involved. So you lose a big portion, but they do have some nice pieces coming back, starting with the senior Lila, and then Jen, the Farah's a junior, who worked hard this offseason to work on her basketball game, because she's another multi-sport athlete. So are those two going to be able to pick up the missing piece that Kate left? And they also have another player I like, Molly Burns, who to me, she does the little things. Could she take more of a scoring role, because she did the steals, she did the blocks, she did the rebounding last season, because she really didn't need to do the offense with Kate there. Could she take some of the burden off Shaver and Farah?
She's going to have to. I mean, I don't think there's but you know what? The way she played last year, I think she's ready to take that leap. But again, you can't replace a liturgist, and it's not just her basketball skill, her leadership, her presence. I think Dave will tell you that's going to be a big missing piece. Lila's can be a leader. She's going to be the leader this year. Jen's a tough kid, strong kid. But again, Manchester, they have, you know what? Jackson, Liberty, Point Borough will be a couple of good battles.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. So obviously, the pick's going to be Manchester out of that group, and Destiny's probably going to be the pick.
Who's your player of the year?
That's a tough call. It's probably the player of the year the whole short season.
That's I think I agree with both of those sentiments.
All right, moving along. Freehold, Township, returning everyone. They got all 5 starters back. I know the team well. They got the 2 twins, Hannah, Lindsay Lloyd, who's a very good soccer player. I think they could, give Marlboro a run. Because when I was watching the summer league, they looked like the team that looked the most cohesive, probably because they've been playing together for, 4 years. And, he even said in an interview, they've been playing together for 4 years.
Right.
So they're going to be, a tough team, for Marlboro, and Trinity Hall too. But Trinity Hall's a little younger, so I always give experience the edge.
Yeah, and this is another team that's going to be hurt by the short season because I state playoffs. I think they would have made a big run. Like you said, 5 seniors coming back, obviously led by Orloff, 15 points, 12 rebounds a game, dominant. The Ellsbury twins, you're going to get combined 18 points out of them, 5-6 assists. A lot of talent on that team. Short season might. I think long run, they probably would have made a deep run in the States, but in a 3-week window, you don't know where they're going to be placed. Are they in that top 10? Are they in the top 13, 14?
Yeah.
If they break it down by 8, they could be one of the best teams in the second tier. You never know.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of talent on the team.
Yeah. The next team in Alpin, I saw them once. It was really carried by senior leadership, seniors, that team. So who's going to replace, the seniors is really the question there.
Yeah, Lauren Thomas is gone. So that was a big part of their offense.
And she was a big body too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Carlin Deaver is probably their best returning player. 6.3 points a game. Let's keep beating the horse. Did it have enough depth to overcome 70% of their offense being lost from last year? I mean, it's going to be a tough road to hoe with Freehold and Marlboro and Trinity Hall in the division.
I don't have much to say about Manalapan. I don't know what the players that are coming back. They didn't. They had roles, but it was all run through Lauren in the post.
Right.
So what? And does he have another big body to replace her, or they got to come back and come with a different game plan and strategy this season? Adjusting to a different team. Next, Freehold Borough. I did get to see them once. Basically, their whole team was based off sophomore Maddie, who could shoot the lights out. I even, after I left the game, I texted the college coach. I go, "There's a girl at Freehold Borough. Remember this name because she could shoot." The problem was after her, not much there. You were assistant at Freehold Borough, so you know that school a little bit.
Yes, I was. I'm good friends with Jen. I know it probably drives her crazy that they're not competitive because she's a real competitive person. And she does her best there. But, with the Freehold district and their choice schools and their, major where you lose a lot of talent there. But, when I coached with her back in 2005, 2006, we made it to the Final Four to short conference and played SJV real tight that year. Couple Division I players, Division I soccer players, Division I basketball, just a very athletic team. It hasn't been the same for her since, and it's just slim pickings there.
Yeah. And like you said, the district, and it's so weird. I talked about it with the Howell coach earlier. You got kids going Township, Manalapan, Marlboro, Coach Neck, depending on a specialty program you want to do. Yeah. So next, Trinity Hall. They lost their center, who was injured.
Oh yeah, She's a fantastic play. Caitlin Wingert's
Caitlin, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to find them on here. There they are. But they are returned. They have athletes on their team, and they do have some basketball players that came in that freshmen. But Haven Dora is gonna be the leader. Be the leader there. Everybody knows how great of a lacrosse player. She's going to a top Division I school for lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
Could she take that leadership role that Maggie and Caitlin left
Right.
with? And I think she can.
Yeah, I think she's ready for it. Like you said, fantastic lacrosse player. But they also have Emma Bradley coming back. 6 points, 6 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
So that's a good 1-2 punch. Unfortunately, it's Marlborough and Freehold Township. You got to match up with them every. That's who you're competing in that pod with, and they lost a lot. They lost a lot last year. Great coach though. He'll have them ready to play. They'll be competitive. I just don't think they have enough to compete with the top 2.
Or he's going to need the freshmen to grow up, quick, and because he does have a very talented, freshman group that came in. So
Paige Janicki played some minutes last year. She had a good summer league.
And
so
Keen, the soccer player, Keen,
Keen,
who's one of my favorite soccer players to watch. So they do have, some leadership there, and hopefully, they could get, the freshmen, gelled in there quicker. But I mean, they're up and coming program that's going to be fun to watch. Sure. I think, another year or two, you're going to see them consistently, top 10, in the Shore. Next, probably the team that I'm going to pick to win the division, Marlborough. They got Jess back, and Jess. How many 3-pointers did she? 96 last year? Or I don't even remember. I mean, I'm pulling it up now, but
it's some obscene number.
Yeah,
it's Tim Brown numbers from back in the day at Lakewood.
She but they she's not. They got weapons. I know they graduated a couple people, but last year sophomore Danny, she's back.
Sammy J.
Yeah, Sammy J. Erica. She was a freshman last
Erica
year.
Simone,
so he has a nice team coming back. I don't know if they got any new players coming in, but when you got Jess, waiting outside to knock down the 3, and he likes to use his bench too. So, they lost a couple seniors. So is he going to have to shorten? Is he going to be shortening his bench this season? And I think we started seeing that towards the end of last season. He started shortening his bench because he was going 15 deep. I used to throw my scorebook in the air and just stop when I was at a Marlboro game.
Well, when you're playing Jerry Tarkanian pace basketball, you need 15 players. I mean, that he is up and down, up in your face, full court.
Yeah.
And those kids are in great shape. They had the horses to do it.
Yeah.
This year, do they have those horses? Are they going to be able to play that style of basketball?
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be able to score. Sammy J attacking the basket, kicking it out to Jess. I mean, Danny Schlesinger eating them up. But do they have enough this year to play that aggressive style?
Yeah.
And listen, that could also help them. This short season could help them. There's been a short off season. A lot of kids that didn't play fall sports, you don't know if they're coming back in shape. So they could use that to their advantage. I don't think over a long term this year with their depth it would work, but in a 15-game season, they could use that to their advantage.
Yeah. The last team in the pod, Middletown South, they graduated their two stars, Kayla and Stephanie. Who's going to step up and take that role? I know they had a couple good role players that are coming back. Are they ready to take that next step? Like, Bella Orlando, Beth Rankin. I don't believe the point guard Abby's coming back because of soccer. Which is good because she started a lot of games for them, as a freshman.
Right.
So where, who's going to run the point this season, and who's going to take up the scoring because they're 2 seniors, 3, Caitlin O'Connor, I think she's at Drew. She could shoot. She was a good shooter from the outside.
Right.
So, he's probably in a little bit of a rebuilding, trying to figure out what his team is my thoughts.
Yeah, I believe you're right. He's got Renee Wells coming back, who averaged about 5 points a game. Grace Meehan will get consistent minutes this year.
Yeah.
She came off the bench, great shooter.
Yeah.
with more consistent minutes, I mean, she could take a leap into the next level.
Yeah, definitely.
And Lara Brennan, his daughter,
yeah,
is she going to step up? And you know, Isla was a great leader for that team. He had her for 4 years leading that team. Is Lara ready to take that step also?
Yeah. My pick is Marlboro, and I'm going to go with Jess.
I'll go Marlboro and Jess also.
Moving on to the next pod, Middletown North. I had Justin on. Great guy. That team is, you know, is run by that engine, which is Victoria.
Yep.
What impressed me most watching her in the, you know, in the fall league was as soon as she gets the ball, she's looking up. She's looking down the court. What am I going to do? You know, how fast am I going to push it? You know, am I going to drive? Or am I going to just, start the fast break? And her intensity on defense is the same. So, to me, she's, you know, the team leader.
Yeah, and that's, you know, you talk about Justin. That's somebody that's well coached. If she's getting the ball and looking up the court and looking to attack and is aggressive on defense, credit the coach, because you know he teaches them the right way, and he always has. You got Olivia Serbo coming back also, 6.7 rebounds a game last year. Ronnie Bricado, 5 points a game. So Sophia Memon,
the big body,
5 points. I think she's ready to take the next step. I think she's going to be the one on that team that steps up and compliments Victoria. And they've got some talent. They really do. Do they have enough? I mean, obviously they don't have enough to compete with St. John Vianney. But do they have enough to be in that second tier? And I think they do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Next, Madawan, I had, you know, new head coach. I had Lauren on last night. Big body, Gianna Ayala, going to Brown, which you know,
good for her.
Yeah, great for her.
Much
These kids are so smart.
I know.
And who's the guard? Their guard's back. Drawing a blank.
Skylar Paris.
Skylar, yeah. So 2 players that played a lot. You know, I remember seeing Skylar as a sophomore. I did not get to see her last season. So, you know, that's a nice 1-2 punch that complement each other. It's the rest is, you know, who else is going to fill those, you know, the holes.
Don't forget about Jada Allen too. That's
Jada,
a pretty good third.
No, she's out. She's out this year. She's got an injury. Yeah, she told me that yesterday.
It's a shame because
because that would have been a nice 1-2-3 punch.
Yes, that would have given them a lot of competitive depth. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it would have been tougher for, you know, defenses to, you know, match up against, because you know you got the big body, you got a good fast point guard that could get to the hoop, and then you got Jada. You know. Yeah. So you know, who's gonna help, you know, step into that Jada role, you know, this season? It's going to be her question. And, you know, new coach, she's trying to, you know, lay out what, you know, her culture and stuff and what, you know, she wants to start building there. Yeah. So, but, you know, I think she's
because I think they need an injection of fresh air there.
Yeah.
You know, they could be a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
They've got some talent. The coach does a good job with them. And again, like you said, can somebody step up to help the big two? I guess we'll find out. Again, playing in St. John Vianney's pod, you're playing for second place, but
yeah. Next, Colts Neck. Yeah. The question's obviously going to be who's replacing Fultz's scoring, because she scored 531 points.
Not only that, had about 70% of the rebounds too. So
yeah. I got to see Jess in the off season. Kind of like a Victoria from Middletown North. You know, high energy, up and down the court. She's a multi-sport athlete. You know, she was second in scoring. You know, obviously she's going to be carrying the load, but you know, who's there that's going to help is the question.
Chance Gagliardi.
Yeah,
she had a good season last year. Got some good minutes. I think she's ready to help out. Again, nice 1-2 punch. Losing Cam, it's never easy to replace her.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a depth thing with Colts Neck again. Two good players who's ready to step up.
And I think they have a new head coach. If I remember somebody tell me that, I think they got a new head coach there. So it'd be interesting what kind of strategy he brings in. I guess it's good new head coach, you're losing your key player, you could start,
Start over.
yeah,
Sure.
start what you want to do and stuff. And
Mhm.
probably a good thing. Next, St. John Vianney. Probably don't need to spend that much time on them. Number one in the state, number one in the shore.
Yeah.
She has the depth. I know a couple players, last I heard, are not coming back, but it's not really gonna um, kill them that much. When you got Katie Hill, Madison, Megan. To me, Megan is so good underneath, especially on the
Yeah.
defensive end.
Yeah.
Emma Bruin, to me, one of the best, perimeter defenders,
Mhm.
out there. So, it's they're a fun team to watch.
It's an embarrassment of riches is what it is.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I mean it starts with Katie and Madison.
Yeah.
I liken them, I like to talk old school basketball. Fire and Ice, Chris Corchiani and Rodney Monroe. You know, Katie's the emotional leader and Madison's just she'll throw daggers at you. That's it.
Yeah.
Comes on the court, dagger after dagger. Like you said, Megan, stretch four.
Yeah.
And I remember in the short conference finals last year, she had a couple big threes early. And don't forget about Christina Whitehead. You didn't mention Christina Whitehead.
Last I heard, I don't know if she's coming back.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Wow.
It was up in the air. But if she
was
does,
their sixth, seventh player up, and I'll tell you what, she hit 3 big threes in that short conference final.
And against St. Rose too, she hit a couple big threes.
Yep.
And she's a great shooter. I like. Don't quote me on that. There was my understanding was back and forth whether she was coming back this season. But if she does play, it's just another weapon. And especially to me, she was one of the most consistent 3-pointer shooters out there last season.
But that'll open the door for Sienna Bradley to come in and get more minutes. But you look through this team 1 through 13, 14, whatever Dawn wants to play. I mean, I take the 13th player on their team any day. But the shame of it is with the shortened season, we're not going to get. Listen, it would be tough for Manchester to get back to that spot, but I was looking forward to a round 3, best of 3 blood match, and but listen, they're just so talented. I mean, you could put any one of the 5 players, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players on the court, and they really don't lose a step.
No, they don't, and it's a testament to Dawn, getting everybody on the same page, and and I think a big thing too is Ashley O'Connor came in, she started taking over the point guard, which freed Madison up a little bit more, where Madison didn't have to handle the ball so much, which, it's good, especially when you have that diversity where, Madison could, 1-2, she doesn't lose a step, where she's playing there.
Right.
Next, Raritan, I had him on. He's in a rebuilding phase. He brought back a lot of young kids, last season. With him, it's them buying in and trying to develop the younger, getting that relationship with the younger kids and keeping the kids home, where they don't lose them to the St. John Vianney. Because they lost Lucy, who was I don't know, you probably have the math how many points.
I didn't, but when we get to RBC, I'll have those. But I mean, you lose a player like that, again, that's hard to overcome, like a Cam Fultz. You just don't replace those kind of kids. And but like you said, they have a lot of young kids. Kids that played some minutes last year. Meg Casey, 11, almost 12 points a game, 7 rebounds. Joey Tarazi, 6 points a game. You're gonna get competitiveness out of Raritan, and the new coach will probably get them moving in the right direction. Just again, do they have enough horses to compete for second, third, fourth in that?
I think he said this is his second year, so
nice.
But the team was young last year, so he is able to, get his, what he wants to do, and what type of program he wants to run there. And key is the 2 sophomores, if they could take it to the next level. Megan, Joy. Last Homedale in that very good team. They got some depth this year. Ryan Taylor, senior leader. Played a point. Great outside shooter. 2 nice big bodies, Abby and Martini. They transfer from Manasquan that they're expecting to have a big impact. So they have some talent over there that, could they, can they give St. John Vianney a good game?
Yeah, listen, they have the talent. Darren's a great coach.
Yeah.
Long time at Mater Dei. We had our battles in B Central. And then, a couple of years on the bench with Dawn. The guy wins. Everywhere he goes, he wins. And he got this team last year. He got them fired up, playing great at the end of the season. Again, do they have enough depth to compete with St. John Vianney? That remains to be seen. But I'll tell you what, this is a real talented team. It's one of those teams we talked about that could be on the outside looking in, and that, if they go a 1 through 8.
Yeah, if they're the 9, they could win that easily.
And I'll tell you what, if they're the 8, I wouldn't really want to play them. So
no, yeah. So that it's a nice team, and I know talked to Ryan a few times. She's ready. She's ready for her senior year. Obviously, I guess we're both probably going to go with St. John Vianney.
Yes.
We're
going with St. John Vianney.
Who do you think? Who's your player coming out of that pod?
All right. I was hoping you'd go first because
I'll go first. I'm taking Katie. I'm taking Katie Hill.
Damn it! You stole my thunder. I was hoping you'd say Madison.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough.
Can you go wrong with either one?
No, you can't. You can't.
No, I think Katie is going to play with a little bit of a chip on her shoulder this year. It's Destiny. It's Madison. It's Justine. It's but. I honestly think she's going to have a huge season, and I pick her as my pod player of the year.
Next division, probably going to be the toughest division to pick a winner.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's a tough division. I mean, RBC is nationally ranked, so they probably are the favorites. I think it's going to be a tough division to pick player to come out.
That would be a little tougher, yeah.
Yeah. So let's start with Red Bank Regional. He has Amelia, Teeter, Decker, Mia Strand, a couple younger players coming in, and he could coach. But they're like the three-headed monster. On outside, any day, either of them could light you up from 3. And you kind of saw that last season.
Sure.
It was a different player. Look at when they played. When they played you guys in Manchester, Medola went off. She was the only one that shot good that whole day in that gym.
Yeah, I agree. Taylor Christian had a big game that day too. Thank goodness she was a senior. But yeah, they had Manchester on the ropes. That wasn't an easy easy contest. And but yeah, 3-headed monster. JT is the coach. He's got some tricks up his sleeve. He's got some weapons. He probably downplayed a little bit. I'm sure when he talked to you, he's not going to play his hand, but
honestly, I don't even think he talked about his players when I did his interview.
I'm not surprised.
It was funny because the next day I did the next interview and we went through the players. I was like, I really don't think we really talked about the players that much.
He's going to talk about the big 3, but he's got some secrets on the bench. I guarantee it.
Yeah, he does.
But again, any one of those 3 can kill you any night. And when they're all on, 2 years ago, RBC, the big win there, playing Manchester to the end last year, real talented team. Can they find consistency behind their big 3s is the question. And tough pod, top 3, could go
probably top 8, the top 8 in the short.
And this is another one we talk about, a top 8. If you play a top 8 playoff, which of these teams is going to get left out? Is RBR on the outside?
Yeah.
And that's a team that could upset anybody. So
yeah, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Next, the crosstown rival RBC. They're a wealth of talent there. Are they finally ready to take it? They got that preseason national rank. And Joe said though he takes no stock in that. We haven't played yet, and I agree with his mindset. The question is, to me, you got that 1-2 punch. Who could stop Allie underneath, and then when you start doubling, tripling her, you got Justine waiting on the outside, and then you have the other weapons that can knock down And, and I'm a big fan of Sabino because, she runs the show there, and, she could get to the hoop and dish it. But are they ready to take that next step? Because, I thought last season they were, and, they fell a little short during the states, but, this is their year.
Yeah. And again, Joe's not going to tell you, that the national ranking doesn't mean anything. And he believes that because he's going to downplay his team as much as possible because take the pressure off the kids. He's done that for 30 years. He's a great coach. He knows how to take the pressure off the kids and let them just play the game. Like you said, Allie, who's going to stop Allie? Now she's, I mean, I see her dad as her in the weight room every day. And man, when she realizes her strength, watch out. I mean, and then Justine, of course, committed to my school, Tennessee. Big fan. That's where I went to school. So I'm happy about that. The issue I had with them last year, I hope they can overcome it this year, was when they started off slow, and they started off slow against Manchester in the short conference semis, missed a couple of easy layups, had a couple turnovers. They start pressing. And then the turnovers come, and the turnovers came in bunches in that game. So have they settled down as a team? Are they ready to take that next step? I think they are. Don't forget about Antonia. Another Division D1. Another D1 commit.
She's tough on defense, can knock
Casey
down that outside
Pryor,
shot.
A freshman last year, got a lot of minutes.
And then you brought in Lucy. And she's a tough player, which is something, some people said that, they were lacking a little bit. It was a little toughness, and, she brings that. And Molly Kelly, I didn't get to see Molly a lot at, Romson. But, she just adds another weapon off the bench. So last year, where I think they were saying they weren't as deep, they have that this year.
Yes, they do have a lot more depth this year. A lot of kids got quality minutes last year. It's going to be the starting off fast, keeping their foot on the gas. And in a 15-game season, I think that's going to help them because, where Joe would start getting some younger players involved last year, and maybe it ruined the continuity a little bit. 15 games, you're putting your foot down on the gas and you're going full tilt. I think this is their year. I think, everybody said it last year. And when we played them in the semifinals, we're playing RBC. It's going to be a good matchup. The game could have gone either way, but that game, I think, showed me something out of them that when things didn't go their way early, they pressed. And if they can control that emotionally this year and figure that out, who's going to stop them?
And Allie and Justine, a year older, they both, Justine, playing with the Philly Bells, and she had a great summer.
6'6". She's probably taller.
She every time I see her, she's
growing.
I joke with her dad when I see every time I see her, she's another inch taller.
But you know what? It's a team that you look at them and Joe's had the big bad wolf the whole back in the day, a lot of players but these kids you can all root for. Good kids, nice kids. I think this is their year. Yeah, I really
agree.
Do.
They have all the pieces this season.
Yeah.
Next is Romson. They graduated, 3 key players last season. But they also had a couple injuries last year that didn't play. Chase Boyle, who's a multi-sport. Grace, everyone knows Grace, missed.
How 6 games last year.
Yeah, and they were late in the season, and then she got re-injured. Couple of similar, Julia, freshman, who was one of the best freshmen I saw last year. Corsentino, outside. Cortland, who
last year.
As a freshman. And Cortland too, dangerous from outside. And when she gets going, 2 nice weapons, and then you add, Grace, being able to take it to the hoop and open up for outside, and Chase is a big body. And I think I forget the girl's name that didn't play last year, but is back in another big body. I think Tiny was tweeting about her. So they do have some weapons. Couple freshmen, from last season. They're gonna get bigger roles this year. So they're a fun team. Going to be a fun team to see this season.
And Dave's a great coach.
Yes.
Good guy, great coach. kind of guy you root for. But getting Grace back is the key. I
Mm-hmm.
think, you know,
And she's ready.
Oh, she's chomping at the bit, you know.
Yeah.
Cortland, I think, is probably my Dick Vitale all underappreciated team.
Yeah.
She doesn't get the respect she deserves. She is
Yep.
a fantastic player, hard worker on defense and offense. She sets the tone on defense. But with Grace coming back and Chase coming back, you got the depth this year. Cahill, Hughes, and Shane's got minutes as freshmen last year. I think, again, this is a tough pod. You got RBC, RBR, RFH, they're all going to be competing. It's another one of those, who do you leave out?
Yeah.
Second place, third place team. I mean, they have the talent to beat anybody. Can they stay healthy? That's going to be the big question.
Neck Shore Regional, got to see him a couple times. Riley Drehos was one of the best freshmen, you know. I don't know, you probably have the points. I don't have their team up just because I know them.
11, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Yeah, big season from a freshman.
Yeah, big season. And then, you know, Madison LaRosa, who's a little she's a bulldog.
Almost 15 points a game last year.
Could take it to the hoop, could shoot from outside, and she won't back down from anybody. She won't. No. So the issue is going to be who's going to fill in, you know, help them out, because that is offensively, that's a nice 1-2 punch, especially, you know, Riley can get to the hoop, and looking for her to take the next step. And you know, her coach said it best. You know, at some point she was afraid to pull the trigger last year, and he said to her, you know, a bad shot by you is a good shot for this team. So, you know, because she's that type of player. So is she ready to take the next left, you know, even as only as a sophomore?
Yeah. And, you know, basketball is a sport where you play 5 on a court, but you got to be a little selfish at times. And when you're the best player on the court, nobody's going to fault you for being a little selfish. And she did pass up some shots last year. I don't think she's going to pass them up this year.
Yeah.
But again, it's going to be the depth behind Drehos and LaRosa. Who's going to step up? And is this team going to have enough in this short season to develop?
Yeah.
And that's, you know, you find teams that could benefit from the short season. This might be one of those teams that gets hurt by a short season. But you know, they're going to be competitive again.
Yeah. They're well coached.
Will they compete with the top 3? That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, well coached, hard-nosed kids. Yeah, I mean, in any other pod, I'd probably have them a little higher, but you got 3 great teams ahead of them.
Yeah, and I said it on the pod, you know, when I interviewed Will, the Romson game in the state was my favorite game I was at all year, because the atmosphere was great. They were down double digits, and you know, they came back. You know, it was great, which I think was also good for, you know, Drehos, you know, be a part of something like that. Saying, you know, shows her that you could be down double digits, you know, almost going into the 4th, and you know, you could make the comeback, which is great to learn as a freshman.
Great experience as a freshman, absolutely.
Next, Long Branch, you know, coach of the year last year, lost majority of their offense.
Huge losses. Yeah.
So I don't know, you know, who's going to step up. Fields, I think, is at Georgian Court playing basketball.
Yep.
You know, they lost Madison Grayson. You know, there was a nice 1-2 punch she had over there. So who's you know, the question is who's going to be the players to, you know, help build this program.
I believe is Jada Rogers coming back.
Okay.
I believe almost 12 points and 5 rebounds a game last year. But yeah, they lost a lot. And you know, schools like Long Branch, the players come in waves. They get really good, and then they might dip down for a little while. But I mean, she's not going to let them stay down for long.
No, she's a very good coach.
Yeah, fantastic coach. But do they have enough scoring to make up for it? Grayson and Lynch are gone also, you know, so that's 3 big scorers you lost from last year.
Yeah. Next, Monmouth Regional, tough team last year. You know, two wins. Young team last year, though. They only had one senior, so the bulk of their scoring is actually coming back. Are they ready to take it to the next level? Because you know, you got Ava and Sydney, who, you know, led the teams, and so are they ready to take it to the next, you know, level?
I mean, even if they are ready to take it to the next level with all the other talent in this pod, unfortunately, it's going to be a long season for them again. But they do have some talent. Sydney Poe, 8 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Sydney, 6 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Sydney, 6 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Sydney, 6 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Sydney, 6 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Sydney, 6 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Sydney, 6 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Sydney, 6 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Sydney, 6 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Sydney, 6 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Sydney, 6 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Sydney, 6 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Sydney, 6 points a game. Ava, 6 points a game. Syd you said, Ava Yeagle, 5 points a game. They got some kids coming back.
And they're athletes too, because I think a lot of them are multiple sport players.
Yeah, but they're going to run into some buzzsaws this year.
Yeah, that's the only issue. Same thing happened with them last year in the division. St. Rose, man.
Tough division. Yeah. How do you, with not much talent, how do you compete?
Yeah. So I'll go first. I'm taking RBC.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll take RBC as well.
To me, it's tough. The player year is going to be tough, and I'm going with Grace. I just think because RBC has so many weapons, Justine and Allie are, it's going to be a little more balanced there. And, there's nothing, those two are easily going to be in contention for player of the year short player of the year next year. Right. But I'm going to go with Grace this season. I just think, her missing out, she wants to go.
Yeah, she's ready. And that would be a great comeback story.
Yeah.
I'll disagree with you. I think I'll go with Justine as my player of the year. She got her commitment out of the way.
Yeah.
She can relax and play her game. And it's 6'5", a kid that can handle the ball, shoot the ball, get inside. What can she do? And having Allie in the middle, taking the pressure off of her, having Sophie distributing the ball. I mean, there's so much. Yes, there is a lot of talent on that team, and I see your point where some of the talent might take away from an individual, but I think she's ready to have a breakout season.
Yeah, it was tough. It was a tough decision between Grace and Justine for me. And Justine is so smart, because when I had her and Gia on, when I said, what is something that, you want to improve from your sophomore and junior, and Justine said her post play, and it, watching the video coming, from the bells and what I saw, she worked on that, and she added that as another weapon that she could add to, which is just going to make her even tougher.
Yeah, you watched her in the summer league. She was posting up, and
which you didn't see last season.
On her, get inside, post up, post up.
Yeah.
And I laugh because when we played them in the summer league, my daughter's 5'7", 5'8". We could list her at 5'9", be a little aggressive. And she's in there with Allie and Justine, and she looks like a midget. And she's battling, but I mean, gosh, those two girls are just, freak athletes.
Next pod, we're almost done. Manasquan, a team I know very well. Probably saw them in St. Rose the most last season, just because of the division they were in. So much depth. The question is going to be the core group that were sophomores. Are they ready to take this team? And going to say this, what I saw in the summer and the fall league, to me, it looked like, just the body language of Georgia. It looked like she's about to say, this is my team. I'm ready now, which she could be so dangerous with her size, and with her length, and she could shoot the ball. And last year Brooke Holloway had a breakout season. Hit so many big shots. And to me, my favorite photo is the one against Romson in the States. Her hand up. I don't know who took that photo, but that was perfect timing. Dorothy, to me, does all the little things, and she's such a good passer from the top, from the elbow. Mary Donnelly could do every, same thing. To me, when she transferred, St. Rose missed her intensity on defense, and she showed what she can do offensively, getting the chance at Manasquan. So those four, one of the teams you're disappointed with the short season. Because you like to see them develop. You see if they can compete with the St. John Vianney, and take them in making it to the finals. And they have young talent. They have Hope coming in. McKenna Carson, and a tall girl. I think her last name's Collins, Katie Collins. So three really good freshmen that are going to see minutes. So the problem is going to be, how is Lisa, and Ryan Orlando, who was a nice little freshman last year. So how is Lisa going to blend everything? And then you got, the senior leader, and Allison Waters.
Yeah. And I was going to say, the one player you didn't mention was Allison. And so the juniors this year that were sophomores last year, they don't have to step up and lead, because Allison is their leader. Macy Black is also a senior this year, but Allison was injured a lot last year, and that kid can shoot the ball.
Quickest release, I think, in the short.
if she can stay healthy and, you know, just play her game with the talent around her, Mary, Georgia, Brooke, Dorothy, and Dorothy is the heart, like she's the blood and guts of that team. She is the workhorse. But all that talent with Hope coming in and the other freshmen, oh my gosh, like this team is, I would not want to play them next year. I don't want to play them this year. And Manchester actually moved Barnegat out and picked up 2 games at Manasquan this year. And that would help us, but I think it's really going to help Manasquan in their development, because last year in the Group 2 semifinals, good game. But I think Manchester just had the upper hand in the leadership and the experience, but that's not going to happen this year. These kids are seasoned, and anyone on any given night can step up and give you 20. So
that's
it's a good problem to have.
Next, St. Rose, you know, they lost Bryn, they lost Michaela, bulk of their offense. Abby, you know, Abby Key, you know, you see Tiny's tweets. He thinks, you know, Abby looks like a player of the year contender, you know, right now. The key is, are the other players ready to step up? You know, Stapleton was a starter, you know, can she pick up some of the offensive load that, you know, that you're losing with Bryn and Michaela? And who's going to be their defensive presence, because Tedesco graduated, and you know she was there. She was their middle. So I think even Mary Beth said they probably gonna have 5 guards, you know, playing. And they have an interesting transfer, Rosie, who I think her and Abby, they trained together up at US Hoops, so they have good chemistry together already. And she's kind of a taller, a longer body. How is she gonna, you know, come in, you know, first year in the short conference? And because I know people were seeing Rose thinks, you know, very highly of her and thinks she's gonna have a good season right off the bat.
I mean, I don't know much about Pearl River. I don't know what division or conference, but I know for sure that, you know, you're going to get banged around in the short conference. So you got to be ready mentally and physically to come in and take that beating, especially against a team like Manasquan in the division. But Abby, watching her development, going from pure getting everybody the ball, all that talent she had around her freshman year, to you know, becoming a scorer and a great shooter. Her shooting has improved tremendously. She could do it all. I think the big key is Maureen Stapleton, because at the end of the season she started getting more minutes and was producing, hitting threes, and but she's going to be the wild card this year. I think if she can step up, she's a presence on defense. The problem is it's going to be who else is going to step up for that team. Mary Beth's used to having deep teams, and I think, you know, I heard her talk, her team's not as deep this year. So
they have a solid 5, but it's the bench, because you know, is Maggie Kavanaugh got some important minutes last year as a freshman, and I said this against RBC at home. They were down 3. She's calling for the ball with Bryn, Abby, and Michaela on the floor. You know,
I mean, you're not going to get the ball.
No, she got it. She shot it, and then it just went short, and they got the rebound. She was open again, and she called for it again. And so she has no fear. Is she ready to take, you know, another multi-sport? You know, I know how tough she is on the soccer field. Is she ready to take that next step too? Because she's going to be a key part this season. And you know, last year they had to transfer Irvin. You know, is she ready, you know, have a bigger role? Because, you know, I know she's a player that does all the small things right, but, you know, they're going to have to find some points, because teams are going to probably key in on Abby.
If anybody's going to have them prepared, Mary Beth's going to have them prepared. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's 2 or 3 kids you never heard of that step up and have a good year.
And, you know, she scheduled a tough, you know, the game she was able to pick up, you know, she picks up, you know, the top talent, which is something was always a knock on St. Rose in the past. You know, they were always in the weak division, and, you know, she wants the best challenges. And to me, she said it right during the interview, you know, her goal is to get these kids ready for college. You know, the wins and losses, you know, she wants them ready for college. So
that's somebody that doesn't lose sight of the big picture. So
next, Neptune, they had a nice season last year. I know they lost Macy Brackett, right? They lost one.
Yes, Macy Brackett.
But they do have a young a couple young players that, you know, had big roles last year. Are they ready to take the next step? Who's Evans?
And Young.
Who's the other girl?
Not Anjaya Young. Yep.
Yes, Young.
Not say if I'm pronouncing her name right.
Yeah,
I
don't.
yeah.
I think it. But yeah, they you know, over almost 700 points between two sophomores. So that's nice. You know, it's something to build off of. And you know, they only, you know, one senior. You know, she did have a lot of points, but
Right.
it's nice that you had the two sophomores that contributed so much. So you really, you know, you're going to lose a little bit with the senior, but do they have somebody that could take that role where the sophomores just keep going and developing? Or juniors
funny,
this year.
You know, you watch Neptune and all these years, they never fail to produce guards.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know, guards, they never fail to produce guards. It's going to be depth and inside presence. That's going to be big for them because playing against St. Rose and playing against Manasquan, yeah, they have guards that are just as good, that are going to compete. And, you know,
I think it's
going to be tough for them.
Yeah, but I also think it's a good test to see, you know, where they'll be next year, you know, next season. So
yep.
So that'd be a plus.
Yeah, be a big learning year for them.
Next, Wall. I know Wall has a nice young core that came in. You know, it's really just going to be, you know, how quick can they develop. She does have a couple players returning, I think.
Yep. Alexis Nirenberg.
Yes.
Margot Arati. Yep. Yeah.
But
yeah, it's gonna. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, they have a freshman point guard that I'm high on. I'm very high on. You know, she's a small body right now. If she could fill up Shea Eldridge.
Okay.
A couple other freshmen. You know, unfortunately, she hasn't been able to see anything because they were shut down 2 days.
Right.
You know, into it. So that's going to be tough. I know they entered the 2 leagues and they had their freshmen, but they also a couple soccer players fill in. So during the fall league, you know, they weren't there. So it'd be nice. It's going to be fun because I think you know, this is a program that's definitely going to be on the rise. And I know there's a top 8th grader in Wall that is staying home. You know, she's going. She's going to play there. So I think in 2 seasons you're going to see them in the top 10. You know, with what they had, because I believe they're the team the freshman team in the middle school, that they won a lot of championships, from my understanding. So. You know, unfortunately, you know, they're in a tough division with Neptune, you know, St. Rose and Manasquan, but throw the young kids into the fire, I think, you know.
Yeah. And you know, watching your interview with Colleen, not only did they miss the 2 weeks, but they also have to make up those 6 practices.
Yes.
Because she said the virtual workouts did not count. So you're missing 2 weeks. Then you have to go 4 more days of practice before you can play your first game. Yeah, they have some young talent, and Colleen's a great coach, homegrown, you know, has a lot, you know, to get Wall back to where it was. If she could, she's going to do it. It may take a year or 2, but competing in this tough division with St. Rose and Manasquan, throw the kids in, let their get their feet wet and see what they can do.
Next, Ocean, they have another really good freshman. Ellie Clark, I think it is. Unfortunately, she's out for 2 weeks because she contact with somebody with COVID, which, you know, they're expecting big things. Like, she is, you know, probably going to be the focal point. But another thing, you know, for him, like he talked about, is trying to build something there to keep the talent from going to the modern day, you know, RBC, as he called it, the 4 corners of death. That's what he called it. But they returning, you know, they lost Bradley, who was everything, but you know, everybody else is returning. So are they ready to be like a team? You know, obviously they relied on her for everything, but are they ready to be, you know, where everyone gets involved now? And I know they got a couple athletes that play soccer on the team.
I think you know, yes, they will improve from last year, no doubt about it. Again, playing Manasquan and St. Rose. I don't know who they picked up out of their pod, but you know, I think they were swapped out for somebody. I think I read that. But you know what? Yeah, Lila Trench comes back. She was a contributor last year.
Yeah.
But you know what? When you rely on a freshman as your best player, things could go great. Things could go wrong. It's a hit or miss thing, but they're going to prepare for next season and use this season as a learning experience. Play against the tough kids, hold your own, see what you got, and come back ready.
Yeah, because I think a couple juniors, but they played a lot of sophomores and freshmen last year, so it's a good year to build on that and come back for next season. Last in the pod is Rainey. A lot of new talent came into Rainey. They had one key returning player. Hang on, I'm trying to pull Rainey up. But what was her name? Bella.
CJ Moore.
No,
Bella Santulli.
Bella. Yeah, she's and CJ, but Bella was a freshman and was one of the leaders of the team. They got Sarah Hughes transferred in. Morgan Lipinski from Mass transferred in. Morgan's little sister, who I'm hearing great things about, freshman. I think a couple other freshmen she talked about. So this is probably the good year, short season. See what you got with your young kids, playing against the Manus ones and St. Rose's, and to see what you got for the future.
Yeah, and Caitlin Linney gonna bring her St. John Vianney toughness to the team, and try to mold her team after St. John Vianney. She's got some very good young talent coming.
Yeah.
And this switch from B Central last year to this pod, it's gonna be a little tougher for her, but
I think that's what that's what she wanted.
Yes, yeah, I would think she's a competitor.
Yeah.
Let's take our beating maybe this year, take our lumps, and come back next year, and we're going to beat some people.
Yeah, because the talent's there where they're going to be, a force to be reckoned with, in next season or 2 seasons. So I'm going to let you go first. Who are you picking to win?
Oh boy, I'm going to go with Manasquan. I just think they have too much.
Do I get a pass since I went to St. Rose?
No. I went to Mount Donovan. I picked Donovan. Come on, you.
I'm going Manasquan.
Yeah.
No offense to my alma mater.
Take your heart out of it. I mean, really. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just too much firepower. Too much firepower. And Lisa's a great coach. Mary Beth's a great coach. But I will go Abby, player of the year out of that.
Okay.
I will go Abby.
I love Abby. It's that whole depth thing where you're probably thinking too much talent. I just want to pick one player, and I think Georgia's going to have a great year. But I think Mary Donnelly's going to step up, and I really think she's going to take her game to the next level this year. So if my pick is between Georgia and Mary, but I think Mary will. Dark horse there. I got it.
Georgia was in my consideration too. I went with Abby because of all the depth over there.
Well, because she goes to St. Rose. Come on.
Yeah. All right. We're getting ready to finish this. The last pod, probably the pod I know the least about. I'm looking at Asbury's roster. I don't know who was seniors and who was.
They didn't really leave you much information.
So I mean, they had they were 500. They were led by when somebody scores.
Taisha Cooper scored over
50%
of her points. Yeah,
and so I don't unfortunately I don't know what grade she is. I'm sorry, I just don't know much about Asbury.
And the good thing that Asbury Park always has in their corner is that bandbox stage that they play on at home. That you throw the ball into the 5th row of the auditorium seats, and they can press you. They're always usually pretty big and physical. So I really honestly don't know much about them, but going on past, they're going to be physical. They're going to play you hard. They got that home court advantage. So,
next, Kingsburg, another team I did not get to see. I think one girl transferred to Ocean.
Okay.
My nieces, sorry. Two more minutes. I'm having a sleepover tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Hang on, they left the door open.
No problem.
Yeah, I don't know much about Kingsburg, but they only had one senior last season, so they're bringing everyone back except for the girl
Yeah.
that's transferring to Ocean.
Well, they
So
had two players, Mackenzie Smith and Scarlett Olivia.
yeah,
I'm not sure if one of those is the one that transferred.
I don't remember which one he said, but I mean, at least the core is back, and
Yeah.
hopefully the players that came back can take it to the next level. I mean, they did have 6 wins
Overall, yep.
overall, so
Yeah.
having a young team 6 wins, it's a good stepping stone when you're bringing everyone back.
Right.
Next, Mater Day, I had him on today, this morning. He comes from Bobby Hurley. He was good coach, played under Bobby Hurley. He has a nice young player in Lopez, who I think is gonna be one of the key players this season from Mater Day Prep. They had a decent season last year too. They went 14-13.
Right.
It's just do they have the depth? Is going to be the question like a lot of schools are having.
Yeah, they lost a couple seniors last year.
Yeah.
Zoda and Morrow, and the transfer of Shelby Barksdale.
Yeah, which was
Shelby had a
big
year
part of their
last year.
offense.
Like you said, Madison's back, Jalen Graham. So yeah, they've got some talent, and I think in a weaker pod they could do something. They could win some games. But new coach, great. I hope he does well, and they could challenge at the top of the division.
Yeah, I think they definitely can. Next, Keyport, another team I don't know a lot about, but another team that looks like they only had one senior, but she scored almost majority of their points. But a lot of sophomores and freshmen. So are they they ready to step up and take over that role and maybe spread the scoring out a little bit more?
Yeah, Isabella Bednars, I think, is their leading scorer coming back, close to 5 points, 7 rebounds a game. Devaney's a good coach. She's going to get the most out of those kids. They're going to be hard-nosed, tough. And I don't know much of their other talent coming back, but in a pretty wide open division, you never know.
Yeah. Next, Point Pleasant Beach. Their key player, 2 key players. I think one's a soccer player actually, but Cassidy Burns, who almost 400 points. Allie House, almost 300 points. They had a freshman who scored 170. So they look like they're in a good spot. We're bringing everybody back.
Yeah,
and they had a good season last season.
Yes, they did. 19 wins last year.
Yeah.
10 wins in B Central. You're bringing everybody back in a division that's obviously, I'm not, saying anything out of school, but in a weakest pod. When you bring that kind of talent and scoring back, you're looking at having a pretty good season.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know who they picked up out of pod. Hopefully the coach scheduled some tougher games, cross pod, and we'll see. But you're bringing that kind of firepower back. Yeah, you're going to have a good year.
But I don't know if you listened to the Mater Day interview this morning, because it's posted this morning, but he picked up TCA and Hudson Catholic, which
wow.
So arguably, the first or second team, and Hudson Catholic's probably borderline, they're definitely top 20 in the state, they're probably close to top 10, around the 10 area. So he scheduled some workhorse.
Yeah. When you're trying to establish a program, that's what you do. You go out and play those teams.
And his response was he wanted to get his players some video against the top competition, so they could send it to school. Yes.
Because, chances of you competing are tough, but one of your kids might stand out and make a name for themselves, and you're trying to build a program. Hey, look, we went out and played TCA. We played Hudson Catholic. Why wouldn't you want to come to Mater Day? That's probably a good selling point. Yeah,
exactly. Last in the group, Henry Hudson. Unfortunately, another team I don't know. They did lose some seniors, but they had a couple juniors that contributed a lot on offense. So their question is going to be who's going to replace the senior scoring.
Curry. Yeah, Curry had a big year last year. Good softball player. I believe she went to BU, maybe play softball.
Oh wow.
But yeah, very, very good softball player. They had 13 wins last year.
Yeah.
When's the last time Henry Hudson had 13 wins in a basketball season?
Yeah.
8 wins in B Central. So yeah, you're bringing Ann McGavin back. I think she's the big girl.
Yeah.
Close to 9 rebounds a game, 6 points.
Yeah.
But Lily Medness, 4.4 points. But again, beyond that, and all these schools in this division have to pull from multi-sport kids. Most of these kids are in the band. Yeah. They do 10 different things, and you're asking them to go out and be competitive on a basketball court. It's a tough call. It's a tough thing to do. And I give these kids a lot of credit. And you never know. I mean, again, Point Beach is obviously the class of the division, but Henry Hudson's got some players coming back. They could challenge for that second spot.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, all these teams in this division have players coming back. So, it could end up being a very competitive division, fighting for, I'll agree, I'm going to go with Point Beach, but, I think it's going to be a competitive division, especially going for that second spot. I probably have to leave maybe Mater Dei a little bit, behind them.
Right.
Just because he's bringing back a little more talent. And I know, that Lopez girl is very good, that, people are very high on her. But yeah, I'm going to go with Point Beach.
Yeah, I'll go with Point Beach, and Cassidy Burns is my player of the year.
Yeah, if she did that well last season, teams are gonna have to figure out how to, slow her scoring down. And I saw her over the summer league. She looks good. She looks ready to go.
Yeah.
So, all right, finally we went through everything. Yeah, I would say we could do a postseason prediction, but who knows what that even going to look like?
Oh my goodness, who's going to put that together first of all? I feel bad for them. They're going to catch some heat from somewhere. It's not going to be an easy thing to do, but we have to get through the season first. We have to get through the first 6 weeks to get to the 7th week, and hopefully we can do it without much stoppage, and everybody stays healthy. And you want these kids to have some sort of year, especially the seniors. It's their last go around, and it'd be nice to get through the season unscathed.
Yeah, and glad to be back out there, and hopefully by end of the weekend I have everybody swear they're going to be streaming the game, so I can send that out to parents and coaches who want it.
Yeah, I mean, get to watch from your home with your favorite beverage and some food. It's not being a father of a senior, I really want to be at the gym, but I'm sure I speak for a lot of parents. I hope there's a way that they can get this to work, because it's important for the kids to be there. It's important for them to play, but you got to remember they're 16, 15, 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They like to see their parents in the gym for the most part. They like to see some of their friends in the gym. It's important to play for the name on the front of your jersey. That's what it's all about in high school. And if nobody's going to be in the gym, it's going to be a different experience. But let's hope there's some way we can get in there and get a season going. Hopefully,
by maybe midpoint or the end, or at least try to get some parents in there. There's enough room in the gyms for a lot of good ideas. Home parents only. Maybe
right,
senior
home parents only. I've heard that one. Yep, senior parents. But, I'd like to see at least get the home games where you get some parents in there and make a little bit of noise. Listen, I'll tell you, there's not a group of people happier this season than the referees in the short conference.
That is true.
They're not going to hear all the chirping and
I'm sure Bruce is happy he's not going to be seeing me on the sideline, because I give him crap every game I'm at, just because I've known him for so long.
Listen, I've heard calls coming from all different directions in Manchester. I'm not innocent. I've made my but again, let's hope everybody gets through this healthy. There's no major injuries.
Mm-hmm.
All the kids that can put together some film, if they're juniors and sophomores, get that ready. And if they have somebody like you advocating for them, it's always a positive. So you keep up your good work, and
appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's wrap up. This was a long one, probably an hour and a half, a little over. So but hopefully everybody enjoyed this, and I wish all the players and coaches luck this year and stay healthy.
Me too. I hope everybody has a great season, and let's get through it.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Nick.